Hello, Mr. Pitts. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me to come. I'm doing well. Thank you.
We appreciate you joining us and supporting our Pathfinder Legends of Excellence project and sharing your life with us to encourage and inspire the younger generation of Pathfinder alumni. So thank you for being here.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
Well, let's begin. Please share with us what it was like for you during your pre-high school years. What were your pre-high school years as a child in South LA like for you?
Growing up, I did have older siblings. And so I was often compared with my older siblings as far as this person does this well, this person does that well. What happened to you? And that's pretty much how it went for me in middle school. But I had to carve out my own path um, by doing things that I like. And that was being involved in the student politics. Um, we were taught to respect education. So education was a huge part of growing up post Fremont High School, and as well as being at Fremont. Um, it was very important to my mother, who raised us as a single parent after my father passed away when I was very young. And it was her guidance of being focused, being an individual, is what led me on the path that I became, the path that I'm on now. It was very important for me to be completely involved and to be involved not only in the school but also in the community as well. So
were you born and raised in South Central LA?
I was born in Los Angeles. There was a hospital on Broadway in Manchester. Now it's a storage facility. But yes, I was born here and raised in Los Angeles. Yes. South Central.
In South Central LA. That's wonderful. And what do you remember most about your childhood? It sounds like your mom was a big part of your life. What other people motivated you and inspired you?
Others that inspired me were actually more so in music. I am a singer myself. Music was actually my getaway from all of the other things that allowed me to be balanced, and it allowed me to be more focused on other things outside of that music. And so growing up, music was extremely important as well, because every one of my siblings, we played an instrument. And that was important to my mother, that we had the arts. The arts was something that she felt made her children well balanced. And so I looked to a lot of the music industry, and mainly gospel music, because it's more inspiring, and it just opened up a whole new world to me. I am a Christian man, and I've carried that from a young child all the way to an adult now. It was like the backbone. So I looked up to a lot of gospel singers. I looked up to the men of faith that I was surrounded by. I looked to my older siblings. So I was surrounded by people that were instrumental in making up the complexity of what you see today.
What was South Central like when you were being raised there as a child?
Like any
Community
city,
like?
yeah, well, it was growing up then, it was completely different because if you did something and the neighbor knew, you're gonna get it from the neighbor, then the neighbor's gonna call your mom, you get it from your mom too. And so it was more of a village of raising us as in as if we were a tribe or in a village where you couldn't really get away with anything. And so you had pretty much a community that was watching you and protecting you and also having a hand in raising you. And I find that today's world is completely different because our children are raised by YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, you name it. And so that that is actually the key. So,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. What do you remember most about your high school years, or what are your favorite moments?
I love John C. Fremont. I'm a Pathfinder for life. Um, I enjoyed when back in our day we had Southern League, and you played every school in our neighborhood and in our district, and it was wild. It was exciting. It was electric. You had bands galore. Um, I was in the marching band at Fremont. I remember, some of my student council days. I remember being, the class president. I was elected 3 times. I remember planning a lot of our events. We, at that time, Fremont was very active, and we had a lot of different competitions. Like I created the Battle of the Cheerleaders, and that was 78 and 79. We were very well represented in sports. We had an awesome band. I just remember marching in the band with pride. Um, we had an awesome director, Reggie Andrews. It was just an awesome experience. I remember my teachers that I loved really well, Mr. Niebergall, um, Mr. Douglas, God rest his soul, Mrs. Douglas, and it was just a place to be for me
Yeah.
as far as Fremont.
Thank you for sharing. Who led you or who inspired you to the path of higher education?
My mom, my mom. Our entire family is very, very competitive. So when my older brother received his degree, it was a while before I actually finished school because my first stint in college, um, I did well, but my mother became ill. And so I had to leave school to help at home and then find a career. And that led me into my career with AT&T. But it was always her voice in the back of my mind that constantly stated, education is the key, education is the key. And so it took me a while, but 2003, I started back. 2006, I earned my bachelor's in information technology and my master's in business in 2009. And it was a sense of relief that I finally did it. And it was a sense of accomplishment and being proud that I did it. And then shortly after, my siblings went and did their thing and got their degrees as well. So that's how we're very competitive. But education, it's our mom who always, education, preached education for us.
Very inspiring. Thank you for sharing. What led you to the field of information technology? Is that something that you always found interesting as a young little boy? Or is that just something that you just kind of grew to
I
love?
fell into it. I fell into it because when I started in 1981 working with AT&T for telecommunications. And that opened up a complete world to me as far as with information technology. And so when I took an early retirement in 2000, it was my goal to become more marketable. And so therefore I decided to go into information technology as an extension of what I've already learned through telecommunications. And that has created a sense of purpose per se, because with the information technology, I can design websites, I can write viruses if I wanted to. You know, it's different things that it's opened up a complete different avenue for me. And then when I decided to add business administration onto it as a master's, it led me into more of service, being of service, and it led me into more of the business side of the house of companies instead of the telecommunications information technology.
Thank you for sharing. Can you share with us about your career path?
Well, like I said, AT&T, 81 to 2000, after which I took time to raise my child. I'm a single parent, so I took time to raise my son. And then 2006, I decided that after graduation, I would be of service. I would no longer choose to work for corporations to make them rich. So therefore, I decided that I would go into the service industry and to be of help of whichever way I could. So that led me into being the director of the outreach and food ministry for a historic ward African Methodist Episcopal Church. There, I designed a program where we not only clothe and house the homeless, we have shelter, we provide food, pantry, we provide hot meals. And so that was the beginning of the service part for me. And then I decided to go even further. I work on the panel with the city attorney's office, Mike Fuhr's office, on the neighborhood justice program. There, I listened to actual cases of first-time offenders, and we listen to them, and then we give them some type of tasks that they would need to complete in order to keep this off their record. And so it could be anywhere from restitution to community service, but it's a way that I can help people that look like me or people that don't look like me stay out of jail, to not have a record for something that you did not even thinking, or it was something stupid, you know, but we give them that opportunity to complete it and put them on a different trajectory instead of the one that they were on. So we try to take that negative and turn it into a positive, and so that they will no longer be in that mode of trying to either steal or whatever the situation that caused them to get into that trouble. And then after that, I decided to become a politician. I ran in 2020, June of 2020, and I was elected as the district rep #1 for Harbor Gateway North Neighborhood Council. There, it opened my eyes to a lot of things that we could do as individuals, or we can do as a collective body to make this world just a little bit better. And I ran on the promise of just having basic service, basic needs met, and right now I've been working with the city council, um, District 15, which is my district, with Mr. Buscayeno and his office. We're trying to get services, just simple services as street sweeping, as parking enforcement. Those things, if you don't have them, then it creates a whole set of other problems as far as encampments. And so I've been working on that end with trying to make corrections that need to be done in my district. And also, we've done a lot with the homeless. We've provided them with housing, not a shelter. We provide them with housing. They get a voucher first for a hotel for a week, maybe 2 weeks. And in that interim, there's a caseworker that is working from Holly Mitchell's office trying to get actual services for that person that we put up in the hotel. And then last, I'm also the chair of the Planning and Land Use Committee for the City of Los Angeles neighborhood for Harbor Gateway North. And that really keeps me busy. I'm constantly looking for areas that needs to be improved or that we can add properties for housing. That is the big issue that we're dealing with right now. It's not enough housing. So we're out looking at particular areas that we can rezone into actual housing, residential areas, or a hybrid of that sort. So I am running for re-election. Yay!
Yay.
But that's pretty much it. I think Fremont set me up as, class president. It got in my blood. Politics were in my blood. So I decided now, let's take it all the way.
And I was going to ask you, because you went from information technology to public service. And I was wondering, what was it that happened? What was that moment or person what was it that led you into this field, which is a very important field? We need more students to go into this field to serve their community in this way.
I needed to be a voice. I needed to be a voice for those who don't have a voice. And so when I went to information technology, that was more of a personal choice than to consider it as a professional area that I really wanted to go in, because coding, anybody will tell you, coding will drive you crazy. And it's very tedious work. And so I knew from the beginning that was not the direction I wanted to go in. So I wanted to try to blend the information technology into whatever I can do. And so the light didn't click on to switch to complete service until 2008, maybe. The president at that time was really motivating, and he inspired me to start grassroots and become what I am now.
Thank you for sharing. What advice would you give to students who want to enter the field of information technology?
Don't stop. Continue. Always continue to learn. Even today, I always look to learn. It's vital that we continue to learn something, because we don't know everything. And so what I would tell a person coming up, you're going to have doors slammed in your face. You're going to hear a lot of no's before you'll hear a yes. But you have to continue to press forward. You would have to continue to carve out your direction. And you have to make that direction specifically tailored to your personality and to who you are. Because if you try to submit yourself into what a company or corporation wants you to be, then you're just a cookie cutter. You need to be your own person. You need to follow your own heart, and do not let anyone tell you no, that you can't do it, because you can.
Thank you for sharing. What advice would you give to students who are managing different roles? They're in student council, they're going to school every day, and they're working to support their families.
Time management, learn that word. Time management is crucial in my daily life, because I am just so busy, and my calendar is my best friend. So I would tell them that you have to do time management and focus on each section or segment at a time. Then also you would need to have a segment just for yourself, because at times this this whole situation can become overwhelming, and in order for us to maintain our mental health, we would need to take off and take time for oneself. And that is very, very important in order for you to maintain your sanity, maintain your mental health, and to remain fresh, and where you can continue to think out of the box or whatever you need to do for your situation.
Thank you for that advice. This question is for our South LA community. And most of us were there during some very difficult times. How do we help, or how do we break the cycles of poverty that exist in our neighborhoods?
As a community, we first have to get over the shame and the embarrassment that society has put on us for where we are, or who we are, or what we look like, or any of those dynamics. What a person in South Central, take it from me, you can be in South Central but not of South Central. It doesn't mean that you don't love your city. Doesn't mean you don't love your neighborhood or your hood. But you can be in it but not of it. And you can continue to strive and not allow the barriers or the complications or anything that may arise hinder your goal. You have to maintain your focus. You're not what your living situation is. You're not what your bank account says. You're not what your credit score says. You are an individual. You are a human being. You can be successful. And your city, I'm a living witness. Your city does not have to determine how well you do in life.
Thank you so much for those words. Thank you. What are your hopes and dreams for South LA?
I love South LA. What I'd like to see is South LA gets its just due, instead of the negative connotation that many have put on the quote unquote South Central, or now South LA. We have many, many, many people that have come out of those areas that are very successful. And what I'd like to see is those people, myself included, come back to the area, and we can be mentors, we can be whatever we need to be in order to bring up our community. And we need to reinvest in our community. We need to demand that we have the exact same things that they have in West Los Angeles, Culver City, Beverly Hills. We need to have the exact same respect. We need to have the exact same treatment as these other locations. And the only way that we can get it as a community is if we stand together and we fight and we vocalize how we feel about it. And when I say fight, there are numerous ways that you can get your voice heard. And I think that would be the best way in order for that community to come up, for our community to come up.
Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
That is one of the things that we hope to teach our youth or imprint in them, the importance of peaceful activism.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing that. That's very inspiring. Any words of wisdom you want to leave us with? Anything else you would like to share?
I will say this. I am honored to be considered a Pathfinder legend, but everyone who comes from John C. Fremont High School is a Pathfinder for life. You have a family that you can actually call and count on if you need them. And it's up to the individual, it's up to the group, or what have you, to make that connection. And that way we can fight and be as one to make things happen. The Pathfinder spirit is strong, is very strong. And I'm so proud to be John C. Fremont alum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pitts. We appreciate your time, sharing a little bit of your life with us and your words of encouragement. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Like I said, it was a true honor.
Thank you.